നമസ്തേ. ഇന്നത്തെ വിശിഷ്ടാതിഥിയെ വിശേഷിപ്പിക്കാൻ വളരെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്, എന്നാൽ വളരെ എളുപ്പവുമാണ്. എഡിറ്ററാണ്, ബുദ്ധിജീവിയാണ്, ഇൻ്റലക്ച്വലാണ്, ചാർട്ടേഡ് അക്കൗണ്ടൻ്റാണ്. പക്ഷെ വളരെ എളുപ്പം ആ ബൈലൈൻ പറയുന്നതാണ്. എസ് ഗുരുമൂർത്തി എന്നുള്ള ബൈലൈൻ കേട്ടാൽ കോർപ്പറേറ്റ് ലോകവും രാഷ്ട്രീയ ലോകവും നടുങ്ങിയിരുന്ന ഒരു കാലമുണ്ട്. അതങ്ങനെ തന്നെ തുടരുന്നു. സ്വാഗതം ജന ടി വിയിലേക്ക്. വെൽക്കം ടു ജന ടി വി സർ.
നമസ്കാരം.
I'll start off straight from your latest title, the paradigm shift from candles to brahmos. From a stage where we were apologetic, mutely asking to maintain peace, consoling people meaninglessly, to a thunderous Prime Minister announcing, "We'll find you, we'll deal with you." Your take, sir.
See, this has partly to do with our philosophy itself. Because when you say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you have no theology, you have no theological enemy, and you are facing a world where they have a theology and they have theological enemies, and it's a mismatch. We can't even understand them. That is why, whether it is Prithviraj Chauhan or even Rana Pratap, could not understand what kind of adversaries they were facing. So they applied the same rules of law, war rules, which we would apply to our own people. But it was Chhatrapati Shivaji who changed the rules of the game. And he adopted Krishna's rule, Sri Krishna's rule. If somebody will not conform to dharma, he is not entitled to the protection of dharma. So he told Arjuna, kill Karna. Karna was not in a position to respond to Arjuna. Arjuna was flabbergasted. How can I hit a man who cannot hit back? He said he is not entitled to the protection of dharma because he is an adharmi. This war model was lost by us because of two reasons. One, when this was not institutionalized by teaching. It is Kautilya who came in contact with Alexander. He felt that you have to frame the war model to counter the enemy. Okay. That is why Arthashastra was born. You will be surprised to know that the best description of the interaction between Kautilya and Alexander is in Pakistan government's website. Okay. Amazing. This is where Kautilya taught in Takshashila University, our great university. Ashoka was a student, Chandragupta Maurya was the student, all this is described there. Then it says this is where Kautilya asked Alexander, simply because you have a huge army, can you attack? He said, what are you talking? He said, no, we won't attack like that. Our war model is that if you have an army, you have to give notice to the other side. He spoke of dharma. So Alexander ordered his arrest. And Kautilya ran away. This is what the Pakistan government website says. Then he went and contemplated that your war model will have to match the enemies. Then Arthashastra was born. Afterwards there was war amongst us. So one Banabhatta came and he said, this Kautilya is an adharmi. He has promoted wars amongst us. And so he delegitimized Arthashastra. The Arthashastra books were burnt all over India. Only one copy escaped. That was in Tanjore Library. And that one copy was given to the Mysore Maharaja Library in 1909. It was translated in 1913. So our society never wanted bloodshed. This is the psychology. And it was changed by Chhatrapati Shivaji later. Because we gave up Arthashastra, we did not know how to counter the enemy. Enemy will always do the wrong thing. The same thing is explained in History of Kerala by Padmanabha Menon. With Portuguese, you are doing it. So, it is a national psyche. It is set against war. So, this was always the problem in India. We had Sadguna Vikriti, as Savarkar said it. Its peak we saw in Bombay attack. When this was going on, we were talking about peace, harmony and candle lights. That's why I picked up that point. From then to this shift, how it happened, that is what I explained in my lecture. This preparation did not happen in one day. The whole nation had to be prepared. Its leadership had to be prepared. The nation has to rise. Its economy has to rise. The leader's stature has to rise. He has to become one of the tallest leaders. And we must prepare for non-contact war. That is why we need a helicopter view to understand how the shift took place.
Now, you have explained this very well. We responded, okay, there was this war cry. Why are we not responding? He said, wait. Then he thundered, we will hit that. We'll find you. But the best part was the power, the precision, the pinpoint precision and the impact of the attack. As you said, you can't acquire and master these in the matter of 15 days. So this should have started 10 years, 15 years back?
15 years. As I cited the Pakistan Defense website when it started. And they were only looking at it.
So the biggest takeaway probably is this. I mean, you have also written about this actually, the shift in the Modi regime too. The first we crossed and used gun. Second, we went up and used EPA. Third, the BrahMos bar. On that, the biggest takeaways of Operation Sindoor.
See, the most important thing is the convergence which we achieved. First, by creating the one chief of staff for all the three forces, without in any way compromising with their independence. You will be surprised. When this 15-day attack was being planned, every service was asked what resource you have. They disclosed their acquisition, which shocked the other service because they did not know you had this. The Navy's acquisition stunned even the Army, because the Navy will not say what it has. It was competition as well as convergence. This is the most important. Second, intelligence. We had gathered intelligence so that we know where exactly these terrorists are, and there was not, in 9 places were hit. Pakistan did not say that it belonged to any civilian. They had to admit that they could not but say that they didn't say, but what they did not say amounted to admitting that it is only the terrorists who were targeted. Intelligence information, verification, technologically perfecting it, that you give a Google, I am not saying Google I am giving for understanding, just as you say, give me a Google pin where I have to reach. You have to give the Google pin to the drone, to the missile, and it will go and search and hit. This kind of competence we had, Pakistan never knew. Only after they were hit, in fact, our DGMO called the Pakistan DGMO to say, we have hit you. They didn't take the call. It is only after hitting, after these fellows began crying only, they came to know. So the intelligence, 3 services combining together, technology, non-contact war preparation for 10 years, India's rise, Modi's rise, Indian economy reaching these high proportions, and we building excellent relationship with such a number of countries with which we did not have that intense relation. Modi's name is known in every country he visited. because he gathered our Indians there, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, that became an event. So he didn't just go and come back. He established a bond with the media, with the civil service there, with the important people, with the commercial people. So it is people to people relationship in very specific terms. That is why he could get even Qatar, which was always supporting Pakistan. He went there in February and he got its support. So you have got to have a helicopter view to understand how Operation Sindoor was a success.
This was long range, medium range and short range diplomacy. Long range when he was ridiculed for visiting all these stations.
He had to come from a negative. He had to overcome a deficit.
Yes.
Negative in the sense, countries I have never come across a situation where the Prime Minister elect of a country did not have visas to enter important countries in the world. It's USA, it's Germany, it's France, it's England, it is Japan. Name any top countries, all G7 countries. He said, I will not apply for visa. They had to grant, they didn't know how to grant visa without application. From there, he brought the country to such a level. The Morning Consult for the last 6 years has been rating him as the only leader with highest rating in the world, 70% plus. It is every quarter. So when such a leader takes a position, then the world will not, and the way the adulations he got from different leaders, people calling him boss, people calling him the most admired leader and the most indefatigable defender of Indian interests, and somebody saying, when I see him, my energy levels go up. These are all top leaders. In fact, Biden said, I feel like taking his autograph. India's rise and the crash of Pakistan.
Yes. Esteem.
As I said, in 1960, Pakistan and India had equal GDP. Today, we are 10 times more than them. We are 3.89 billion, they are 0.37 billion. They have gone to IMF 20 times to beg. And their foreign exchange reserves after taking the IMF loan is $9 billion. We are $690 billion. So, this gap, when from being the fragile 5 nations, we have become the powerful 4 nations. This shift, without all this converging, we would not have been able to do this.
Now, medium range wherein Modi ji revisited these nations, building relationships, personal relationships with the nation, with the leaders, and then the short range, which I said, wherein after Pahalgam we succeeded in convincing leading nations and heads of state that we have been hit, we have been injured, and we established our right to hit back. So, which is probably why the early voice came from Turkey and a bit from China. Right?
No, there are 3 things you must see. He declared on the next day after the attack, we will pursue them to the end of the earth. United Nations Security Council passed a resolution that you have to hit the terrorists, their handlers, their supporters, their financiers. Means what? It is not limited to some terrorists who are going and fighting you on the street. You can chase them. So when Modi declared it, nobody said, no, please don't launch an assault or something. There was a silent approval of what Modi said. This is the first point we should notice. And Pakistan, no country, even at that stage, no country was willing to support Pakistan. Pakistan began hiking the nuclear threat. 3 ministers at least spoke that we have bombs, we have 130 and things like that. We are not bothered about it. We hit them. They didn't know what to do. Because your nuclear threat has no meaning. The nuclear bomb which they were showing even in 2008, about which our government got terrified, that has become really the Deepavali bomb. It has no use.
Okay.
So these are all the huge outcomes. that you can use nuclear bomb only when the country itself is being defeated in a war or something, not because you are supporting some terrorists and the terrorists are being killed. Nobody in the world is going to accept it. But it is one thing is clear, the Western nations still want Pakistan as a check on India. It is very clear. That is why they said no, Pakistan has nuclear weapons.
Yes.
Everyone knows it's fake. And Trump himself, of course, Trump shoots off quite easily, and he had to come down. I didn't make peace. I only helped them to make peace. I mean, for a person of his stature and the President of the United States to come and swallow his own words, it doesn't do good to United States. But anyhow, they do not want to give unqualified support to India, is very clear in this. So India has to have a very, that's why Modi's support or constructive support to Russia in Ukraine, that shook even China. They thought we will give unqualified support to the United States. Not only he gave a constructive support to Russia by not condemning it, he began ensuring huge benefits flow to India. And when he decided to buy oil for rupee, the oil price which had gone up to $200 crashed back to $80. So these are all great risks which he took. Yep. And he didn't have 20 days to decide. He had only 24 hours to decide. That shook America. They threatened sanctions and all that. Couldn't do. Now Trump realizes that India, there is a game changer in India. So my feeling is that many things, the takeaways are many. The challenges are also many. Future is a very interesting geopolitical game for India.
Yes, geopolitics. Coming to that, you have mentioned 5 important assets that we acquired and kept, which came in very handy, from the kamikaze to BrahMos to your...
No, BrahMos has been there. First thing is Rafale. Second thing is the Scalp missiles, then Herop missiles, then Israeli UAVs, and then our kamikaze drones. These are all 5 important because they combined on the first day. On the second day, of course, the air defense. And the last day, BrahMos.
We actually overcame a lot of pressure to acquire these, right? One, the Sudarshan Chakra, as we claim it now, there's 400 acquisition.
Yeah, that was opposed by America. America threatened us with sanctions.
Yeah.
And that too, a president who was a friend of us, friend of Modi. Modi wouldn't budge. This is, you see, international geopolitics is actually a psychological game. It's an eyeball to eyeball game. Who blinks first is the issue. We didn't blink. America blinked. Actually, America had to give exemption under the Katasa law for us. Huge diplomatic success, like which India has never had over America, ever. The same way, this, of course, this Rafale problem is a local problem. The extent to which our media, our own intellectuals, our opposition parties, even to some extent the judiciary went to block this deal, and it's a sad story. But the Prime Minister withstood everything. It's not that he wanted to buy Rafale for himself. He wanted to buy Rafale for the country. And that's proved today that without Rafale, you could never have hit Pakistan from India.
War? No, we did not cross borders. Hit? Yes, we did.
That is the non-contact war. No. Contact means you don't contact the border. You hit from within the border.
Now, where do we go from here now? Like, we've come so far. Yes, we have held our heads high. We have declared. Now, any act of terror we'll see as an act of war. Is the warning given to them? I mean, we can't expect Pakistan to learn. Probably the sad states are like from the time you have been mentioning about, from the time of General Zia. Look at the ceasefire thing. The ruling administration, civil administration says, yes, ceasefire. Even the army to an extent says ceasefire, but in the night we see them.
That's why I'm saying
firing
Pakistan is
against
an anarchic country. It doesn't function under the orders of anybody. So you cannot trust Pakistan when it says we will not have war with you. That is, it cannot control even its army. How can the control the terrorists? So Pakistan is always in a permanent state of war with India, psychologically, intentionally, and it will always hit India. On that there is no doubt. We should be prepared for it. Pakistan's hatred for India is rooted in Muslim League's hatred for Hindus. Pakistan's nationalism is anti-India, as Christopher Jefferlesh said. So now you can't deal with this Pakistan and have peace. A very different Pakistan is needed for Pakistan to have peace and for us to have peace with that Pakistan. I think Pakistan has created a huge thinking in the Indian establishment about Baluchis and Pashtuns. Yes. And what Pakistan did in Kashmir, we can do in POK. So we will keep Pakistan engaged among them, so that they will focus less on us. This will be our next strategy.
Do you expect at this rate that Pakistan to disintegrate fast? Because how long will people hold on to
It has never been an integrated country. East Pakistan and West Pakistan came together. How did East Pakistan separate? Because it is not possible for Muslims to be under one Islamic rule, because they have their own diversities, linguistic diversities. In East Pakistan or now Bangladesh, 70% of the Muslims even know wear sari, and almost one half of them wear even bindi. These are all this has to coexist. If you say you have to wipe it out and Tablighi Jamaat and then you are actually creating cleavages among you. Same way Baluchis, they have their own tribal customs, rules, regulations. We know how to handle the tribals, whether it is in Madhya Pradesh or whether it is in Jharkhand or Northeast. We allow them to have their. If you ask all of them, you have to be like this. We will face the same problem. But we are used to diversity. Islam does not know the rule of diversity. Islam's biggest problem is it has to handle the world which is diverse with the rule which doesn't permit it. This is the problem of Islam. And so once you take, Mohammed bin Salman has recognized it, UAE has recognized it, Egypt has recognized it, Pakistan has not recognized it. So these are all huge problems which Islamic society is facing. In fact, of the total number of Muslims killed in conflicts between 1950 until today, 95% of them have been intra-Islamic conflicts. So there is a huge problem in the Islamic theology, Islamic society, Islamic polity, which is working itself out. Previously, all nations used to converge on Israel. Now today, nobody wants to touch Israel. In fact, even the Muslim nations want Hamas finished. These are all shifts which have taken place in the last 50 years. As the contemporaneous world and the medieval Islamic beliefs begin clashing, it is the contemporary society which will be able to teach lesson to this monogamic Islamic thought. It will go on. It will go on maybe another generation, but it will definitely end one, because the world is diverse and Islam will have to recognize that diversity.
Israel. Sometime back it was anathema. It was fashioned to bang and blast. Israel. Now it has turned out to be our biggest ally. It took some courage.
Everything. See, even standing with Russia is a matter of courage. And standing up to China is a matter of courage. Standing with Israel is a matter of courage. You see, all this requires a courageous leadership the leadership is also preparing the nation. Previously, if you went and sat with Israel, you are supposed to be anti-Muslim. It's over now. The Muslim nations are shaking hands with Israel. So the world has also changed. My feeling is, India having emerged as a global power in more than one sense, as the future model giver of the world as to how world of diversity has to live. If anybody has to learn, one need not have to go to universities or colleges. In fact, I remember one Saudi journalist wrote in the Saudi Gazette, which is the Saudi government paper. I don't know whether you had occasion to read that article. He came to Bombay and he was stunned that people have so many gods, so many ways of worship. They are still having such they are flying rockets and they are emerging as a great technology nations, but we have only one religion and one God and one book, and still we are killing each other. These thoughts will permeate. After all, we are in a world of communication. Nobody can stop good and bad from being communicated. Bad will also get communicated, good also will get communicated. But my one thing is, good thoughts will definitely get communicated faster. And things will shape up.
Couple of quick questions. One, you have written, like, India or Bharat does not mean a geographical piece of land. It's much beyond that. So are we now on the threshold of attaining that Bharat, the Param Vaibhav Bharat?
You see, it is basically a question of consciousness. The Jews kept their consciousness as a nation alive. They had no territory, they had no kingdom, they had no nothing. They were strewn all over the world. But they kept the consciousness of a Jewish nation alive. Then they got a piece of land. And then this consciousness took shape as a state. We had lost our state, we didn't lose our territory, but we were losing our consciousness. That consciousness is coming back in a big way. Unless you feel conscious as what we were for thousands of years. China is doing it. China is recalling 5,000 years of Chinese civilization, when in 1965 they wanted to destroy everything of their past. A new civilizational world is emerging and India is part of it. So my feeling is, as India begins to be conscious of its past, owns all that it stood for, which is much, much higher than the geography of India, that every piece of India is sacred, is that consciousness. It's not a real estate. In America, it is a real estate. There is no sacred place, there is no sacred mountain, there is no sacred leader. In America, there are only 3 declared saints, canonized saints. In Italy, there are 30,000. So there is that. Compare with India, 67 crore people assemble in one place on one consciousness that this nation is sacred. Something unbelievable. Nobody invited. In fact, I was there for 3 days. I wrote about it in Tughlaq, a magazine. It's an experience. Nobody came with any preparation, nobody came with bed, nobody came with who will give food, where we will stay. You have to walk for 50, 60, 100 kilometers. You were sleeping on the road. 67 crore people came. This is the national consciousness of India. So that is coming back. A bit late. It should have come back in 1947. It didn't. At least now it is coming back.
You mentioned about the craving to win elections at the cost of the nation. Now let me just quickly bring you to the role of media now. See, this conscious, media has a definitive role with respect. And the way the reportage has gone, the way columns were written, the way narratives have been built, which were eventually destroyed, but then it probably went on for decades, So where do you see the role of media? What media should be doing at least now?
When you say the media could not destroy, because the media projected as if it's going to Kumbh Mela means dying. See, the media's narrative have been defeated by people repeatedly, because the media has a brain wired in the educational system, and with Western orientation, left, right, center, everything comes from outside, so it cannot grasp India. In fact, when I started the Swadeshi, began participating in the Swadeshi movement, Dharampal Gandhian told me, you can never understand this country's economy or society or polity by reading books. You have to take a travel across the country. Then I began traveling across the country. Then I understood it's a very different economic model functioning, social model functioning, cultural model functioning. There is social capital which is not to be equated in financial capital or intellectual capital. My vision of India changed. So, you cannot capture India merely by words, merely by books, merely by educational institutions. And the media is hooked to these things. That's why the media can never grasp India. It will be talking something, just as we are looking at many curios, we are also looking at media, listening to. But I don't think anybody is following the media. Media is not trustworthy today. The media itself knows it.
On that note, thank you very much for spending time with Janam TV.
Thank you.
Big thank you from the Janam TV viewers and all of us at Janam TV.
Thank you so much.